Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us from. Welcome to our GenAI Demo Day, brought to you by our friends at Snowflake, TiDB, powered by PingCap, and Zenlytic. I'm Brian Mink, co-founder and president of Data Science Connect, the world's largest data and AI community. Today, we're excited to welcome hundreds of attendees from all over the world for an exclusive virtual event showcasing the most innovative GenAI solutions through concise 10-minute demos. At DSC, we value your time and have designed this event to provide impactful demos without any unnecessary fluff. Quickly identify solutions that meet your business needs and connect directly with the top leaders of pioneering GenAI companies. We're honored today to hear from a distinguished group of experts from some of the leading solutions in AI. James Cha-Earley, Senior Developer Advocate at Snowflake, Zhen Shi, Director of Product Management at PingCap, and Paul Blankley, CTO and co-founder at Zenlytic. Before we begin, a few housekeeping items. To make this feel a little more in person, we suggest you add a photo to your profile and include your bio, LinkedIn profile, and other information you want your fellow attendees to see. Next, please take advantage of the Q&A and chat features throughout the webinar. We're dedicating a portion throughout the webinar to Q&A, so be sure to upvote the questions you'd like the speakers to address. If you're wondering where your organization stands compared to others on your AI journey, check out the poll questions in the right sidebar. And finally, if you'd like to learn more about any of the solutions you see today or book a full demo, check out the calls to action below throughout the webinar from our headlining sponsors, Snowflake and TiDB, powered by PingCap, as well as sponsors Zenlytic. Now, without further ado, I'm excited to kick off Demo Day with our first speaker, James Cha-Earley from Snowflake. Welcome, James, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. So welcome, everybody. All right, so I'm here to talk about Snowflake's Cortex agents. So this is one of our recent innovations to bring and provide a feature for folks to utilize, really make use of their unstructured and structured data. So what does that look like? So let's go ahead and dive in. So what that looks like for us is what we call data agents. This provides the AI capabilities that we have in a way to really unlock the insights across structured and unstructured data. At Snowflake, we believe AI agents will soon be essential to enterprise workforce, collaborating with your teams and enhancing productivity across different functions as customer support, field technicians, analytics, engineering, and just more. This really frees up valuable employee time so teams can focus on what is important and really focusing on solving business critical problems and letting the tools handle themselves, essentially. So let's go ahead and dive in talking more about it. So why is AI agents so important for future of enterprise? So when we look at this problem from a customer perspective, agents can enhance business productivity across the board by handling complex multi-step operations in minutes, which would take someone much longer to be able to handle that. Uh, all of us are familiar with this technology in terms of like a chatbot to be able to really accentuate the ease of use of it. And in terms of like an enterprise situation, the sizable structured and unstructured data to be effective and reliable for them to be able to get that data out. So in other words, for AI agents to work at scale, they need to work seamlessly and connect with enterprise data. And LLMs is really where it's at to be able to provide that function across the board while ensuring security as well as governance. And that's what the heart of what Snowflake does. They must follow data policies across multiple sources efficiently and retrieve accurate information to deliver meaningful outcomes. So that's why for Snowflake, trust and security, governed access are the front center of what Snowflake provides through its agents. It's a high bar in terms of its accuracy to be able to provide the data it really needs and the output it has. The trust and security, building a data-intensive AI applications that abides by existing security and governance policies is increasingly challenging. And data access, for able to be useful, that the agent itself needs access to the data sources themselves. And again, we're talking about unstructured data, which is text, audio, videos, uh, and in terms of the structured data, these are like the tables and views of the data sources. And it's split across many different sources and systems today. So, in the terms of taking a look at this and taking a step back and how we really enable all of this across the board, the governance is at the core of it. It's the governed data that we have inside of Snowflake secure perimeter. This includes both structured in SQL tables as well as unstructured data stored in stages. You can use granular RBAC to be able to manage the access to this is data. And then we go into the data processing portion of it. So in this portion, we have the structured data coming from Snowflake state-of-the-art SQL engine to be able to provide scalable performance. On the unstructured side, we would do some pre-processing to be able to make sure that it is the state that is ready to consume. So you can do things like utilizing Cortex functions to get the sentiment of it, a summarization, and these other things that we're able to provide the most meaningful information versus just a chunk of data itself or some text itself. Um, and then it's the retrieval engine that really brings it together. And for within the landscape of Snowflake, this is Cortex Analyst as well as Cortex Search. That is used by the tool as tools for the agent itself to retrieve the information. So let's talk a little bit more about them. Cortex Search extracts insights from unstructured data, while Cortex Analyst generates that SQL to process that structured data itself. Analyst has a out-of-the-box accuracy of 90%, and you can create your search and analyst services customized for your data. So you can further fine-tune it to the way you need to get the information. And then for how does Cortex Agents works with this? So what it does, it provides these two tools, the Cortex Analyst and Cortex Search, to be able to, as tools themselves, to be able to execute against them. And this reflects in the results to improve the responses. So really finding the data you are looking for from the data that you have. As a part of the planning, they explore options, split into smaller tasks, routes across those tools. At the intermediate step, they reflect on the interim response and decide on the next step. Like we discussed, Agents uses Cortex Analyst for structured SQL, as well as Cortex Search for unstructured data, as tools along with the LLMs to analyze and generate those answers. After deployment, and customers can track metrics, refine behavior for continuous improvements. And right now, for agents, we have them available as REST APIs. So what that means, you can easily integrate these into your applications that you have. So be it a Streamlit app, into your Slack, into Microsoft Teams, or your website. Essentially, where you need this information, you can extract it through that REST API. So next thing for us to talk about is to go a little bit deeper into what we're talking about in terms of the data itself. So we both have structured and unstructured data that needs to be processed to make them ready for AI ingestion. Snowflake provides the best platform for efficient AI and SQL power processing. On the core processing engine, we delivered numerous innovations to reduce the query time by 40% in the last couple of years. On the unstructured side of it, we use batch processing with SQL as well as customers uh, utilizing it, they see a significant reduction in latency across the board. In some cases, the workloads that took 20 minutes can now take 20 seconds. So a huge saving in terms of time and just being a lot more efficient. And then kind of bringing it together, we again have Cortex agents that really bridges the application and retrieval service. So now that you've gone through the process of setting up these services, the analyst as well as search, you've gone through and uh, did a fine comb in terms of how that data looks like and what it's structured like, so that way you can retrieve it. Um, and then we have a lot of exciting improvements that are coming out in agents itself. We are moving beyond the basic automation around it, dynamically handling multi-step actions and reasoning. This is a significant improvement over the mostly reactive tool sets that we have right now. And as well as LLMs continue to advance. So we expect agents to be able to collaborate, plan, execute, and refine tasks that really drive efficiency and reduce costs. So we believe agents have a potential to reduce both software and labor expenses by orders of magnitude across the board. And like I said, in terms of being able to provide that uh, orchestration, across the board with that REST API, you can plug it into where you need to the information you have that forms in many different ways. So the PDFs, the tables, uh, share sites, and even Google Drive. Just anywhere your information is at, that's where we can gain learnings from it and gaining more insights for your business. So to kind of show off what we're looking at and how it works, let's show you a quick demo on what we have here. So this is a, a team, um, Microsoft Team chat window. So through here, we can actually chat with through agents to get the extractions of data that we want. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So let's take a look at some structured data. So while we wait for the agent API to be able to do its thing, uh, quickly talk a little bit about it. So right now we are asking some data sets that we know will be inside of the Cortex analyst within one of our semantic models that we've created. So without knowing where the data is, I can ask questions and it will go ahead and retrieve it. So it'll go through the tools that we provided and the semantic models that we provided and try to find the right answer for it. So there we go. We know that with the breakdown of customer service tickets by service type, cellular, as well as business internet. And then let's go ahead and ask it a different question. So again, it's going back through and using the tool sets that we provided in terms of the agent's API and going like, hey, find the data, and then it goes ahead and finds the right data. So the question we asked was how many unique customers raised customer support tickets with a cellular service type, as well as providing their email as a preference in terms of response. So we got 58 customers there. Let's go ahead and look at some more data on I know as the one who created this. It's just more of the unstructured data. So let's go ahead and ask it. So I'm going to ask what are the payment terms for snow tires? All right. So we went ahead and looked at the data that we had in terms of the PDFs, and it provides all the details about the snow tire payment terms, snow tires payment terms. And also at the end, it does provide us a source. So if I wanted to go look at the source of truth of the actual PDF itself, I can go ahead and do that. And lastly, let's ask one more question. So what's the latest, most effective way to recycle rubber tires? And there we go. Now we know how to recycle rubber tires. So that is it for me in terms of Cortex agents.
Great. Thanks, James. Excellent demo. Very interesting product. So thanks very much for taking the time. And if you guys want to book a follow-up with Snowflake to learn more, you can click on the call to action below and see it in action. So thanks again to James. And now I'm going to welcome our next speaker to the stage, which is Zen Shi from TiDB, powered by PingCap. Welcome, Zen, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Brian. Let me start sharing my screen. Cool. Great. Hello, everyone. This is Jin Shi, the product manager at PingCap, the company behind TiDB. I'm excited to be here today to share how TiDB helps unify your data and all the AI workloads into one powerful system. So we believe every business will become a data plus AI business. So in today's session, I will walk you through the problems AI developers are facing when building intelligent systems and how TiDB's approach can dramatically simplify your stack, cut down the cost, and unlock scalability. So we will definitely do a short live demo to see it in action. So first of all, what is TiDB? TiDB is a MySQL compatible, horizontally scalable database built for modern and intelligent data applications. It features automatic sharding, enterprise-grade security, and the most important is 100% open source. We are trusted by the leading enterprise and developers building cutting-edge intelligent applications from the global industries. Our mission is to power modern and intelligent applications today and tomorrow in one system seamlessly. So let's talk about the graph rack or knowledge graph, the de facto design pattern now for intelligent applications that use both vector and graph-based retrieval. The challenge, so today's system are built with siloed databases, vector in one place, knowledge graph in another, and you do have relational data and unstructured data somewhere else. That leads to operational complexity, duplication, and definitely higher cost. And it's not just about operations. Even building and maintaining high quality knowledge graph is super hard. Traditional approach requires defining granular entities and schema upfront, which is time consuming and rigid. It also makes difficult to generalize across domain or iterate quickly. So developers have to force to choose between quality and agility. And that's not a trade-off everyone wants. But with TiDB, we take a different approach. Instead of putting your data across multiple stores, we unify relational, unstructured graph and vector data in a single agent. This drastically reduces the complexity and the cost and enables new kind of intelligent applications with agility. So let me show what it is in action. So here, let's go to the screen with a notebook here. Here, I do have a TiDB AI SDK, which is the entry point for us to do the demo. So to save some time, I have everything installed already as the dependency. So basically, the demo will showcase how to use our SDK to construct the knowledge graph from a markdown file, and later we will look into how to do the data retrieval, how to do the semantic search. So definitely, first of all, you have to connect to a database, which is from the TiDB cloud. So I do have the window here, which is our management console on the cloud. For whatever developers come into this platform, we are offering a free quota with 25 gigabytes of the data store. So to connect that, just simply click this button. It's a MySQL compatible database. You just copy paste the connection string from here, put that into your environment variable in this file. And also to generate the embeddings and generate human-friendly response, definitely you need a API key from the large language model provider. Here I'm just using OpenAI as an example. So first of all, definitely you have to load the connect credential, and you need a connection to the database. So basically, with the SDK autoflow here, you reads all the credential and connect to the database. So what's next? We need to generate the data structure to store your embedding, your knowledge graph, your entities inside of the TiDB. So I just click the button. So basically, it creates a new knowledge base with all the parameters here. So this is just a testing purpose with the trunk size and the overlap and the paragraph separator. So it uses vector search as the index method for the knowledge base. So let's go back to the our online SQL editor. You can tell in this test database we have 4 tables ready there, which stores your data trunks, document, actual document, the entity, and the relationship. Everything here at this moment is empty. So next step, we are going to load the document from files. So here we do have a list of files with the markdown file that's captured from our online documentation. So basically it talks about what is TiDB, what are the core components behind that, which is a great data source for us to see how to construct the graph representation in the database. So what I'm going to do here is just to click this button. It will read all the markdown information from this folder. And now back to the database, we run the same thing again. We can tell so the document has been trunked. and you store the both actual text, and is embedding the vector representation for that. And most interestingly, here inside of the relationship, you can see what is the TiDB, the description behind it. The relationship stored also with the SQL database here, so you can tell what it is the actual description and the embedding behind it, and also the source entity, the target entity describes the connections, the relationships between two entities. Let's also look at the entities table here. So you can see it automatically extract the entity, like the TiDB self-managed, TiKV, TiFlash are the storage engine behind that, and we are relying on multi-raft protocol as the foundation of the distributed system. There are some of the supporting tooling and deployment options, all captured from that Markdown file. So with that, we can do the documentation search. So basically, we are do the similarity, choose the top two similarity here from the actual text trunk. You can see the result. When I'm asking what is TiDB, you can see the actual trunk retrieval from the system. And the next step, usually you send it to the large language model, and you will generate human-friendly responses to your based on your system configurations. So another thing quite interesting here is just to do some of the retrieval for the knowledge graph. So basically, we can search for the graph, like what is TiDB. So it can also share like the relationship between TiDB self-managed, TiDB operator, TiDB cloud, and it shows how those entities are connected together and what is the relationship between that. So with that, you can send both the trunk of the messaging and the relationships here to the large language model to give you the better answers in the system. So let's put that into a real system. So we build our UI kind of representation of the entire workflow. So here I'm asking the same questions again. What is TiDB? So basically, this online demo actually reads the data from all the internal and the external, knowledge base from the company. So it actually shows, everything you care about the thing, and you care about the question. And here you can, from the answer, we also build a lot of interesting toolings. First of all, you can do some of the tracings. For the knowledge graph, I just presented it. Can shows the actual visualization here. It might take some time, but feel free to try it on the TiDB.ai. So to save some time, I directly go to some of the other functionalities. So good, you can see the graph graph representation before I jump to another functions. So here you can drag and drop. You can just do some tweaking and see how that affect the actual responses to the question. So we do have some of the observabilities, some of the agent, some of the agent for you to customize the large language model, the generate prompt, and how you generate the entities and the graphs behind the thing. So that is the demo. Back to the slide. I'm going to share some of the learnings. So basically, you might wonder what powers all everything behind the scenes. So it's really a simple and elegant design, just 3 tables, entities, relationships, and the trunks. So each table includes vector columns, so you can store and search embeddings natively. This model is also easy to reason about, scalable across domains, and super cost efficient. From our customer side, we are seeing up to 80% cheaper than the traditional kind of graph construction approach. So next, our retrieval process inspired by how humans think. First, we decouple the question, generate a chain of thoughts, And then later, we start to the explore our mental graph stored inside of TiDB. And later, we optimize the thinking, and we do the query optimization, and we are trying to narrow down from the vector search responses. Of course, with the agentic system we build inside, we will do evaluating, re-ranking, and filtering, making sure the result is accurate and both human friendly. So there are certain use cases from we are building from this both internally and also external from our external partners. Uh, of course, this architecture is not just in theory. Is actually adopted already here and there by all of us, all of our customers. First of all, we have an AI chatbot embedded in our Discord server. It helps hundreds of users every day to learn and explore TiDB. Next, we do have the AI chatbot, integrated into our Jira support ticket. It helps our support engineer to accelerate the response to our customers who created support tickets. Um, Chat query, which is our integrated text to SQL functionality, we do have this AI assistant experience in the TiDB cloud. So if you have some challenges to come up with the query, just interact it with neutral language, and it will generate optimal SQL query for you. And if you encounter some of the errors of the SQL query, it can rewrite and correct the SQL query for you. Another interesting part, we also integrated the automatic index advisor feature that combines the metadata in the system and the performance tuning information with the large language model. So it will automatically pop up a window if we detect some of the slow query consuming a lot of the resource, and then it can estimate how much by applying the index, how much performance it can boost and how much cost it can save. One real-world example from our amazing partners, a platform, DeFi, that provide no-code AI solutions for developers. They are running, a massive separate database for different customers in the past. So that leads to higher cost and operational pain. But by switching to TiDB, they unify the relational vector and document data into one backend, and all powered by scalable multi-tenancy TiDB architecture. As a result, they saw faster development cycle, 6% cost saving, and 18% reduction in operational overhead. So by bringing everything together, TiDB is built for intelligent apps. Wherever you are querying structured data, searching document, traversing graphs, or embedding semantic search, all of them can be run natively inside the TiDB. You don't need a lot of the database, you just need one TiDB here. If you are building next generation of AI application, you want to simplify your current architecture, give TiDB a try. So here are some of the resources you can get started for free. And that's pretty much for my part. And thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Zen. Excellent presentation. Enjoyed seeing the product. And for those of you interested in learning more about TiDB, be sure to click on the call to action below. We'll drop it in the chat as well, so you can reference it after. Thanks again for joining us. And now the next speaker up will be Paul Blankley from Zenlytic. So I'll welcome Paul to the stage. Welcome,
Hello.
Paul. Howdy. All right. And with that, I'll turn things over to you, Paul.
There we go. So I will be presenting Zenlytic today. Zenlytic is an intelligent analytics product that takes basically your experience of data and the kind of questions you can ask of your data and makes it actually intelligent, makes it able for it to answer the business questions you have, not just something that sounds very much like a SQL query. So I'll be presenting that today, but that's the background on Zenlytic. We're an intelligent analytics platform. So with that, I will just hop right into our product demo. So then I can use Zenlytic in a few ways. So the first way right here is I'm just going to ask Zoe a question. I really like our audio input, so I'm going to use that. Hey Zoe, can I look at total gross revenue, and can you look at that year to date and then maybe compare it to the last year to date? And can you break it out by the product type? So Now I can just sort of give Zoe some instructions on generally like what I want. Zoe's first going to look across my organization's context. And this can be anything from not a lot of context on top of the actual tables to some of the base definitions for Zoe to use. So in this case, Zoe says, "Hey, I'm going to use total gross revenue." That's actually a real concept, not something that she's sort of guessing at on the fly. And that's really important. That's one of the reasons why Zenlytic is easy to use, is that both in the text here and on the actual query that Zoe's running, I can hover over the different elements of the query that she's doing to better understand what she's using and see how this is calculated. So, for instance, in gross revenue here, I can see, okay, well, this is revenue from product sales plus shipping. That's how this is calculated. And this is something that the same calculations that are used in these results that Zoe shows you are the same calculations that show up in the dashboards as well. So you don't run into those same problems of, oh, wait, I got this number from the AI thing and I got, a different number from the dashboard. So Zoe's always able to explain to you with date ranges, with different references to the columns that she's using, exactly what she's doing to pull the data that you wanted. So now I can of course see this result. I can see the different comparison that I asked about. The other thing I can do here is I'm not limited to just asking the AI system to change its result. So for instance, I could come in here and say, well, maybe I don't want gross revenue now. I want to see what net revenue is. It's actually a lot faster for me just to click on this and say, well, let's look at net revenue instead of gross than it is for me to just ask the AI system. So just a one click there. And then I can just tell it, hey, yep, that's what I want as my next step. It'll go and immediately run that. So you can very seamlessly go back and forth between directing it to do something in the UI or selecting a date range, and between just asking the system in natural language what you want to use. So that's one flow. This flow is one that's valuable and happens a lot. But one thing that I do want to say is that this question is very structured. This question, and you'll see this in most of the demos for these type of products similar to us, is that the question is very structured. I'm asking for total gross revenue. That's a real concept. I'm asking for product type and year to date, and that's all very sort of concrete things I'm asking about. One of the big value adds that we can add as Analytic is not just answering very straightforward questions like this that corresponds to very concrete things, but the ability to answer these open-ended questions that you know could have a bunch of different answers and don't really have a well-defined, this is exactly what I'm looking for kind of answer. So now let's look at that, because those are maybe the more interesting of the questions we can ask. So when I come in here again, I'm going to try the audio, and I'm just going to sort of word vomit some of the thoughts here. So the perspective I'm coming at this from is, I'm a marketing manager, just onboarded to this company. I don't really know what's going on yet or where my data is. So I can say, hey, Zoe, I just recently started at this company as a marketing manager. I've got a meeting with the CMO in, 10, 15 minutes. And I just I don't really know what data we have for, campaigns and channels and how we measure marketing performance. So could you just help me understand how, like, what's available to measure campaigns and channels and how we do that? And my end goal here is to try to understand which campaigns and channels are performing the best and where I should, spend more of the ad budget that we've got. So here, I just sort of gave Zoe a ton of information. This wasn't super specific. I didn't really know what to ask about, but Zoe still is able to help me. So she's able to say, okay, great. Well, I looked at all of our marketing info, and this is what we've got. We've got return on ad spend. Okay, that's efficiency. We've got marketing spend, obviously just marketing spend, cost of acquisition, that's CAC. Yep. Okay, great. So this is really helpful. I have an idea now of what's available. I didn't before, and I didn't really know where to look. But now I can say, okay, well, this is maybe something a little bit clearer that I can dig into. That's great. What I really want to understand is I want to understand which of the channels are performing the best in terms of, I guess, return on advertising spend and cost of acquisition. And then for whichever channel is performing the best there, I want to see which of the campaigns in those channels are performing the best. And then I want you to give me a nice, clean, textual summary of which campaigns are the specific campaigns that should be allocating more budget to, and make a good case for this. again here, I'm just giving it this very sort of general kind of prompt. I want it to kind of walk me through the analysis, and it's going to be able to go through and say, okay, great. Well, let's look at cost of acquisition and return on advertising spend here. Again, I'm able to hover over these if I ever wonder, hey, how is this defined? What do these things mean? And it's going to be able to pull this data for me again using my standardized metrics here, and say, okay, Facebook CAC is like 8,000, paid search 10. Okay, recognize that Facebook is my best performing channel there in terms of CAC and return on ad spend, and then it's also able to do that next dive of going deeper into the campaigns and saying, okay, well, these are different campaigns, this is how they're performing. Um, and then finally, it's going to be able to synthesize all this information for me so I can have a really clean, clear result. So at the end of the day, right before my meeting with my CMO, I can say, okay, my best performing channel is Facebook with return on ad spend of 5.49, CAC of just under 8,000. And then within that, I've got um, top sellers as a slightly better ROAS and a slightly better CAC. So that's maybe the specific campaign that I want to allocate more budget to. So now I can come to my CMO, not just with some data that I had to figure out what to do beforehand, but I can actually present my problem I'm trying to solve to Zoe and have her come in and help me get to the bottom of solving that problem, not just pulling some specific data for me. So that's one of the things that we view as the sort of unique value that Zoe is able to provide. The other thing that's really helpful with Zoe is that all of this is integrated inside of Zenlytic, broadly speaking. So for instance, right here, I could say, can you add both of these results to a new dashboard for me? Call it my like marketing performance dashboard. And this is going to help me just say, okay, I got a result that's really helpful that I can use ahead of my meeting. But Zoe can also create a dashboard for me, and that dashboard I can then schedule to have delivered every week on Monday or something. So I don't have to come in and re-ask the questions. I can make use of a lot of the business intelligence kind of constructs that I'm used to, and have this dashboard just available for my use whenever I want. And then from any of the components on the dashboard, I'm able to come in, click these three dots, and say, hey, maybe I want to look at this by itself in a UI. Maybe I want to ask Zoe a question about this. Maybe I want to download the data as Excel. That's a very common one, as you may expect. And this gives me the interoperability to be able to hop in and out of asking Zoe questions versus being able to explore in a graphical UI versus being able to start a question from Zoe when I don't really know where I want to land. So that's the overview of what we're doing at Zenlytic, and would love to take any questions that anybody has. Yep. So one question from David here. She sees Zoe is using the wrong field. So estimated versus earned. Can you swap that out manually, or is that something that you have to ask her for? So you can do either. You can actually ask Zoe to do that herself, and she's able to find the other field and swap that out. But in the UI, you can also just click that field and say, hey, I want to turn this, estimated versus earned revenue and swap those out or add other things to the analysis. So it's easy to drive both from the UI or from asking Zoe questions, depending on what's easiest for you to do. Great. And with that, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'll be on for a little bit. If anyone would like to see a demo of Zenlytic, please just comment Zenlytic demo in the chat here, and someone on our team will reach out to you. Would love to show you more about what we're working on.
Excellent.
Yeah, great question from Robert. If I can answer that in my last
Sure, absolutely.
in the last minute, Brian. So how long does this take to deploy? So the deploy process is always pretty much iterative. You're able to go in, you're able to select tables in your data warehouse. We'll import those tables, and instantly those are available to Zoe. You can start asking her questions, and then as you ask her questions, she's able to help you create those reusable, like measures, dimensions, calculations, and then she'll reuse those calculations. So initially, she'll just come in, she'll guess, and she'll say, okay, well, it seems like the sum of revenue is what they mean when they say gross revenue. You can go in and you can edit that, and you can say, actually, no, it's the sum of revenue plus the shipping minus the discounts with this other adjustment factor. And then once you save that, Zoe's going to be able to see that context and then reuse it. So initially, you can get started really fast, answer some questions with Zoe, and then as you use it, you're able to give it additionally more context. So it learns with your business and it understands the nuances of revenue calculations are not usually just sums.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. It was a great presentation. Yeah, and as Paul mentioned, if you guys want to either click the call to action below or comment in the chat if you'd like a demo. Excellent presentation, Paul, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for.
And with that, that concludes all of the products in this quarter's demo day. I want to say a special thank you to all of our partners at our headlining sponsors, Snowflake and TiDB, powered by PingCap, as well as our sponsors, Zenlytic, for making this excellent webinar possible. If you missed any of the webinar or want to rewatch anything, the recording will be available just a few minutes after the conclusion of this webinar. If you just refresh this page, we'll also send out the recording tomorrow if you registered for the webinar, as well as it will be available on our YouTube channel starting tomorrow morning as well. We also have another webinar tomorrow if you'll join us for Accelerating AI Readiness, Scaling Quality with Data and AI Observability. That one's brought to you by Monte Carlo. You can register for that via the call to action below. And I want to say thank you to all of us again for joining us and to all of our sponsors for making this possible. Have a great afternoon.